Okay, my friends, I'm dead serious. I think we're on the edge of a breakthrough in literally all diseases. After a lot of research, it's come to the point of understanding that disease really is a defect in your DNA, so the DNA can't perform the program that it's built into it. And why can't it do that? Well, it doesn't have the chemistry to turn it on and off instantaneously, and that is an enzyme. We don't have the enzymes we require to do the repair of the DNA. A large number of DNA damages occur per cell. A large number of damages per cell per day due to several causes, including viral and bacterial infections. The majority of them are repaired. They repair the DNA. There's a built-in program to do that. But in some cases, the repair process are not totally efficient due to viral and bacterial protein interferences with the host cellular machineries. I believe the enzyme is not there to carry out that repair because it requires, and I'll show you, it requires a complex set of enzymes. And those enzymes are only created by bacteria. Simple as that. All right, we know a lot of damage is being done, but DNA has a built-in repair mechanism. The system is complex processes involving enzymes that fix the damage. Only enzymes can work fast enough to do this, and they have to be there, and you have to have the bacteria to create that set of enzymes. It's not going to be just one, probably. It's going to probably be a whole set of them, and they're going to also require what's called coenzymes. Those are simple vitamins and minerals. They work in the mid-ranges. As the enzyme is making and breaking things, you have to have those products available. But it doesn't mean if you have the products available, it's just going to happen. It only happens if the products are there, number one, and two, you have the enzyme to do all this very, very quick chemistry. All right, bacteria is what we're dealing with, and they are the ones that produce a vast array of enzymes. Right now, they believe there's around 75,000 that they're pretty sure about. And these are all used for all kinds of breaking down complex organic matter into nutrients so that you can digest, combating environmental stresses like oxidative stress and so forth. And they can even infect you and become virulent and infect hosts. But if you had the good ones and they're doing the right chemistry for you, creating the ribosomes, you're good to go. But if you don't have the bacteria, you are not going to get the enzyme. It's as simple as that. Here it is right here. Enzymes are the chemicals we're talking about that are produced by microbes, which are the bacteria, to digest organic matter. A lot more than that. Microbes are living enzyme factories. Microbes are bacteria. Those microbes are living bacteria, and they are the factories that produce the enzymes. The enzymes is the product that we need to do the nucleophilic substitution and invasion, which is exactly what nucleophilic means, down into the nucleus. It changes things so fast, but you need an enzyme to do it. You can't do it without an enzyme. It's never going to happen. Okay, this is really going to be the short version, but it's just simple, very easy to understand. If you don't have the bacteria, you will not get the enzyme. Because here's how the enzyme ends up getting in your system. The bacteria has a little extra program. It has its own DNA. It says, I'm a Lactobacillus acidophilus. And it says, in this little section right here, there's another program that says, I am going to produce a ribosome like this. And what does that mean? It means that I'm going to take a whole chain, and it could be long, it could be short, of little polypeptide acids, amino acids. And I'm going to put them in a ball like that. And that ball is so tiny that millions of them could fit in a single human cell. Millions of those balls could be in there. They're so tiny. However, they are extreme chemistry sets. They're ribosomes, and they're floating around. Primarily, they're right in this area, the entrance to the nucleus, which is where the DNA is basically stored. These things are the protectors. These are the troops that wait around here. Anything tries to get in the nucleus, they kill it. They're floating around all over the place, but primarily they're attached to this rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now, what else can we know about bacteria? Here's how the whole thing works. It's enzymes. So the bacteria has its own DNA, but it also has another chunk that says, I'm going to make a ribosome. And that's this polypeptide chain, protein chain. And it just comes out and there's, I think, 20 different amino acids that can be in there. And that comes down and it transfers into messenger RNA, and it really goes and fixes the DNA when it breaks. You have to have these ribosomes in gigantic quantities. I mean, it's unbelievable. They say many different damages to your DNA. At first I thought, well, I had all kinds of different things, but I think I've honed in on it now that your DNA is being damaged and you cannot repair it. Why can't you repair it? Is there anything in common that we see in diseases that are chronic? Well, it appears there might be something. And it might be about magnesium. Let's look into that. But the key is you have to have the ribosome, which means you have to have the bacteria. It's simple as that. Your bacteria dies, you're done. Unless you can replace that bacteria or somehow supplement what this would have created, which was the ribosome, but it did it automatically. It just lives inside of you and protects you. But we have destroyed our guts. We're eating herbicides and bactericides, and there's an assault on our probiotics with antibiotics and things like that. We're re-engineering the programming, which is, that's an area that's pretty sophisticated. I don't think we're sophisticated enough to create what this does. You see what this ribosome is? When that ribosome opens up, here's what happens. The ribosome's here. It unsheaths. It goes into a gigantic, huge, enormous, complicated thing called an enzyme or a protein. Enzymes break things, proteins build things, but they both do them very, very quickly. I mean quick. Quick, you can't imagine quick. Are they both the same? No. Enzymes break things, proteins build things. However, they come from these ribosomes, which come from bacteria. You don't have the bacteria, you don't get the ribosome. Now, what does this look like if you could see it? This is what it looks like. You can't program that. I mean, these bacteria are so sophisticated, it's just unbelievable. And if it's not like that, if this thing here is hanging that way, it's denatured. It's not going to work. And that's how they do it. They take some kind of stuff that breaks into the cell walls or one of the little DNA bits, and it breaks it and it kills or damages the DNA. Now, what's supposed to happen? You're supposed to fix it. There's a built-in mechanism. There's going to be a little template, they call it, that will stay intact, and then the other particles will migrate to it, and you'll create that DNA strand again in its correct form. So it's supposed to be fixed, but the enzyme has to be there, because the enzyme is what fixes it. This comes up and it goes, and it changes. It says, I'm going to reprogram it. Done. That's how, and once the DNA is damaged, you're in for all kind of problems, because that DNA controls everything. It's like you send up, you got to do a job and you don't know how to do the job. You're out in your hand somewhere. You don't know how to do it. You got to send back to your brain to say, hey, how do I move my hand? And your brain doesn't have the ability to send back the signals, so you don't know what to do. You have to have these catalysts functioning in good quantity. So you have to have the bacteria in good quantity. And we don't know really even what the bacteria is, first of all. And it's going to grow in the correct place in the body, is my feeling, because it knows where it's supposed to be. In the small intestine, in the stomach, in the colon, and every place has its own chemistry. And these know what, the ones that live in that chemistry are going to go for that chemistry. They're worried that you're going to get some kind of bacteria and it's going to go and live in a place where it's not supposed to be. Well, that's possible. These are the things we got to work out, but I don't think that's the case. It hasn't shown to be. They've shown these fecal matter transplant, which is nothing more than taking the microbiome from one guy and putting it in another person. And a good one, a good microbiome that the guy has no issues with anything. And it's just replacing your bacteria, which are just nothing more than these. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of them. And they go to where they're supposed to go. And all of a sudden they start creating the enzymes. And all of a sudden the conditions reverse. Back to being what they should be. In many, many cases, especially C. difficile. That's why they allow it for C. difficile, because there's really no good treatment. It just keeps coming back. Once you release these ribosomes, which are created from bacteria, so the bacteria create the ribosomes get in here, and it fixes the C. difficile. So, hey, get out of here, get out, you get out. But it has to have enough of the ribosomes to do that. So now we're looking at magnesium and the magnesium ions. That appears to be something that affects disease. It's to my way. Well, let's look. This absolutely clears it up. Radiation damages the DNA. If the DNA doesn't get repaired, you get sick. Well, this guy, long ago in 2004, the study radiation resistance was associated with the presence in the cell of magnesium ions associated with small organic molecules forming powerful antioxidant complexes. And this other guy, Di Ruggiero, discovered the same magnesium complexes in archaea and other bacteria. These are the DNA complexes that are made because of these archaea and other bacteria that were not being looked at as good bacteria. And it says it's supporting the idea of universal mechanism for the radiation resistance. The complexes were found to have potent antioxidant properties, supported the proteins in the cells. Now listen to this now. They're looking at it for radiation exposure. And they focused in on it because they could find all these people that were irradiated, and they looked at their chemistry, and they found out magnesium ions, and the presence of them in the cells, these magnesium ions, was associated with this problem. Now, COVID, they just found out there was something to do with magnesium ions as well. Now, radiation exposure damages your DNA. We know that. But it's supposed to get fixed. COVID damages your DNA too. We know that. But it's supposed to get fixed.
Roger.
Okay, all I can tell you is that if you don't have the enzymes, you're not going to create the products that are necessary for life. And one of them is a magnesium. It appears. Because here's what it's saying about magnesium. Magnesium deficiency is involved in the occurrence and aggravation of respiratory and or neuropsychiatric complications of COVID-19, of all diseases. Systematic determination of circulating magnesium concentration, a prompt correction of its imbalance with other circulating cations is necessary to prevent and or improve these central nervous system, respiratory, and other complications. Magnesium, it appears, has something to do with repairing the DNA. That's where I'm going, because one of these articles, I think I've shown you, or I will show you, goes back to 2004. They recognized magnesium was involved in another issue, but magnesium seems to be involved in every issue that I can see. See this? It's really, this guy Daly had shown in 2004 radiation resistance was associated with the presence of cell magnesium ions. And radiation damage supposedly damages your DNA. That means probably that the magnesium ions have something to do with repairing the DNA. And the DNA is a cause of, when your DNA gets damaged, that means you're sick. Basically, that means you're sick. Right, I don't think anybody doesn't understand this. DNA damage can cause cancer. Yes, they say it, and it affects mutations and the gene sequences that control how your body grows and how the whole deal. DNA damage, repair, management in cancers. Wow. Okay, my feeling at this point right now is because your DNA is being damaged continuously. Every single cell, they say, is multiple assaulted and damaged and has to be repaired every day. In your body, trillions of cells, many times a day, have to be repaired. And depending upon your lifestyle, they may have to be repaired many, many, many times because they're being assaulted. And it depends on what you eat. It depends on how much sun you get and all the radiation, all that stuff. But it all boils down to me now is to the repair of the DNA. And you can't repair that DNA, it appears, without some intervention with this magnesium. It seems the magnesium is a big deal here. Okay, I guess I just leave it at this. This is from the National Institute of Health. Conclusions. In summary, nutritional magnesium appears to be important in both the prevention and treatment of COVID-19 disease for several reasons, and it goes on to list them. But the key here is that magnesium appears to be an element that is very important in the repair of DNA. And the repair of DNA is the issue with getting cancer and virtually all illnesses. And the only way you can get the enzymes to create the things that you need in your body is from bacteria. It all breaks down to the bacteria creating a ribosome, creating an enzyme doing the chemistry, fixes your DNA. Well, without the bacteria, none of that stuff happens. And then you get an illness. That's the way I'm looking at things now, and I think we should start to investigate thinking along those lines. Because we need to get a database of the bacteria that's in a good, healthy person's body, and then get databases of people that have conditions and see where these differences lie. Then supplement the bacterias to address these issues. And at some point, we could probably home in on a database that would give us so much information that we know the ages and what type of bacteria and even like the race of the person. Everything has to play a part in this. Your DNA is the program. It's just nothing more than a program. And if that program isn't working correctly and has been hit with a isotope of radiation, an ionizing radiation that knocks out one of the particles, and you can't go back and fix it, well, that DNA is not going to work and you're going to have an issue. So that's the key here. We need the bacteria to make the enzymes to fix things. All right, thank you. I love you all. I'd love to speak to somebody and do some interviews with people that are deeply involved in this, because I am as well. I understand this stuff very well. And the people I work with understand it very well as well. And the importance of magnesium in COVID-19 is important from everything. Since the guy who said in 2004, he knew it way back then. And now we have to really look at it and try to understand what bacteria is involved in this particular molecule. All right? Thank you.